we spend more time researching a new phone than we do screening the people we let into our hearts and life. What if I told you that the key to enjoying dating apps, yes, enjoying dating apps, is to start being as intentional with your love life as you are with other important life decisions. Today, I'm going to show you my recruiter method to transform dating apps from a soul-crushing experience into an activity that actually respects your time and boundaries. If you stay until the end, I'll share the one question that, according to research, predicts relationship satisfaction with 80% accuracy. I'm Petya, a neuro-linguistic programming coach. I help people identify limiting beliefs, overcome obstacles, and craft an actionable plan that's easy to implement, and I help them along the way with insights, guidance, and support. Welcome to my channel. Today's video was inspired by a Reddit thread where someone wrote, "Dating apps are just rejection factories designed to destroy your self-esteem." I used to feel exactly the same way when I first started using dating apps in 2014. The endless swiping, the creepy messages, the ghosting, it's exhausting. You can really have a burnout by spending too much time on dating apps and not getting the results you want. Have you ever considered, what if the problem isn't dating apps themselves, but how we approach them? The first thing we need to consider when being on dating apps is the mindset shift. Let's start with a complete reframe. Dating is not about convincing someone to like you. It's about discovering who you are genuinely compatible with. In the past, I would go on dating apps and I would try to present my best face. In the process, I realized I was performing. And a performance, by definition, is something that you're looking to achieve in order to create a certain impression. That's sort of natural in a way, but on the other hand, it could be not in your favor because you are then presenting all of those qualities, maybe even enhancing them, magnifying them, but is that really all there is? No. And are you trying too hard? Because if you are, you may be coming into that conversation with the wrong intention that is not going to set you up for success in the long run. When we're looking for a new friend, do we try to force connection with people who don't share our values? Do we feel bad declining invitations from people we don't click with? I mean, maybe if we are lonely, sometimes it's tempting to just go out, explore, numb the feeling of loneliness. On the other hand, if you don't really feel that you click with someone, if you don't feel like you guys are having a fun time communicating, or you're not speaking about something valuable and you feel like time is just passing by, you're not sure what you're doing, why be in that conversation? It doesn't mean that you're a bad communicator necessarily, or that the other person is bad. Maybe you don't click, maybe you don't feel excited, maybe you have different topics of interest. It doesn't have to be that hard, it doesn't have to be this such a big, devastating, soul-crushing thing. It's more about, hey, does it work or doesn't it? If it doesn't work, that's completely fine. That doesn't mean the other person is bad, that doesn't mean that you're bad. It just means that maybe you'll have a more meaningful and exciting conversation with somebody else. That's totally valid. According to research published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, people who approach dating with a selective attitude rather than a desperate mindset report 47% higher satisfaction with their dating experiences regardless of the outcomes. It's not what happens to you, but how you perceive it. That's basically it. Remember, this isn't about being cruel or judgmental. It's about you valuing your time and emotional energy, because time, your youth, and energy are finite resources. We gotta be selective with that, and the more selective you are, the better for you and the other person. That's actually a win-win, regardless if it looks like that in the beginning. Part number 2, the connection assessment. Let's break down the recruiter method and how to use it without actually making it feel like a job interview. Step 1, know what matters to you. If I go on a dating app, I know what I'm looking for. My first criteria is looks. I need this is like my baseline standard. I need to find them attractive visually, and then I'm looking for communication. Is the communication there? Can they talk about different types of topics? Do we actually have a fun time or meaningful conversation about something? How do they share information? Are they specific? Do I get to learn about them when they answer questions? And this could be a very cool and fun dialogue. It doesn't have to be an interrogation. It's about conversation flowing rather naturally, but with intention. After my 7-year relationship, where I completely lost my identity because we got enmeshed with my partner. We were 24/7 together. And I'm saying this because I drew my lessons from there, and I thought, okay, in my next relationship, I don't want that. I want me to have my own life, my partner to have their own life, us to have our life together. I want to be able to have my freedom, to have trust, and that's beautiful because that way I will be excited when I see my partner and vice versa. But I didn't know how important that was for me before. If I find someone who tends to be overly controlling or overly petty about who I spend my time with, I am not going to accept that. That's a firm boundary. That's a value of mine. I want to be autonomous, I want to be free, and I want my partner to respect that. Step number 2, conversation should be a discovery. Try to get to know the person first. You may be excited about the way they look. You might have a great conversation, and if something does not match your expectations, because sometimes you have them, preferably you don't go with too many expectations. You lead with curiosity. You're genuinely trying to understand what makes this person shine. You're trying to see how are they the happiest, what do they like to do, what's important for them, what's an absolute no-go for them. Just try to have this friendly conversation and try to ask questions that you're genuinely interested in, not just interview questions. Instead of asking what are your goals, which feels like an interview with very harsh evaluation criteria, you can ask what are you excited about right now, or what's one dream that you've managed to accomplish in the last years that you're really proud of and really happy about? It's about something specific that's very tightly related to them. So you could get to understand their personality and what's important for them. Step number 3, pay attention to the baseline. Again, 2 baseline elements: communication skills and attitude. I've been recruiting people online and I've been asking a lot of questions. First of all, my criteria is English. Why? Because my native language is not English, and neither is the language of the people I'm hiring. We need a language on which there will be a bridge and we'll be able to understand each other. Otherwise, we will be lost in translation, and instead of meeting each other halfway, it will be like this, like that, maybe like that, and we will probably be able to work together, but it will be a struggle. While if we have a high level of English, we can meet each other halfway, we can communicate easily, freely, and much faster and much more efficient. This is why communication is so important as a baseline. Next, I'm hiring for attitude. We also have skills, but why are skills not in front of attitude? Because attitude shows you about the person. Someone may be a great graphic designer, but their attitude could be arrogant. So they come into the company and they think, I know it all, I am the best person. Then they're like, okay, this company is underpaying me, I'm going to put the bare minimum. But honestly, it doesn't help that they have the skills, because they're not going to use them to the best of their abilities, and so the work isn't going to go as smooth. While if we have someone who has a great attitude, they are humble, they are proactive, they are curious, they're willing to learn, they are hardworking. Even if they don't have all the skills, well, skills are learnable. Attitude, on the other hand, is not something you can change. It's not your responsibility to change a person. You may have heard of the saying that goes, take me as I am, or watch me as I go. Well, I want you to reverse that and see someone for who they really are, and then if they're not what you're looking for, don't fall in love with the potential of them, like, oh, they look so great, they could make this wonderful husband if they act this, that, and that way. No, actually see how they act. See what's important to them. Then decide whether you will move on with them or not. And if you decide to not move on with them, that's completely fine, because in the process, you've learned something. What you've learned is what's important to you. And also something else to consider. If you get a person way too quickly and get into a relationship that doesn't benefit you, it's going to take you longer to rework that, get out of that, heal, get to baseline before you can date someone who's more suitable for you. So from that perspective, it's actually better to go a bit slow and adjust. Going slower before you pick is actually faster than picking someone who is not good for you, and then you have to deal with the consequences. And I say that from experience. I want you to know that it's good to notice green flags and red flags. Again, this from your perspective, but there are some baseline things. For example, inconsistent communication is a huge red flag. Why? Because if things are beginning like that, they're not going to get better. In fact, they are very likely to get worse. Consistency is one of the strongest predictors of relationship success. So be mindful of that. If someone is hot and cold with their attention from the start, the pattern rarely improves. And last but not least, remember that most people change, but most people don't change for the better. Red flag number 2 is rushing intimacy. Why is this a red flag? Well, because if you're not ready, but the person tries to push you, they likely don't understand boundaries, or they understand them, but they just don't respect them. Either way, that's not something you could work with in the long run, because if you accept that, they're going to stretch your boundaries more and more over time, and you're going to start accepting more shit that you don't need, and it's not going to make you feel better. Red flag number 3 is if they don't show curiosity in your persona. Recent example I had on a dating app. One of the guys whom I met claimed to have emotional intelligence, and he also had some self-development books on his profile. I jokingly said that I know some of these self-development books. Some of them I know closely and some of them from afar, meaning I've heard of them but not read them. We started talking and he would say stuff like a fiery redhead or a redhead hottie or something like that. And I immediately felt something in my gut. I felt like, ugh, I really don't like this. And for me, respect is very important. If you meet someone for the first time on the street or at a time-left dinner with strangers, anywhere really, what I'm talking about is real life, face-to-face. You're not going to lead in with, hey hottie, hi sexy. You are going to be respectful. You are going to try and ask questions to get to know the person a little bit. I was like really appalled from this. I'm like, hey, we're not at this level. Well, why are you talking to me like that? Just because I'm on a dating app doesn't mean I like being talked to like that or that I'm going to accept it or tolerate it. I also noticed something else that I don't like because he asked me, how did you get into those self-development books? And I said, well, me and my ex, we used to be very much in self-development, but truth be told, I actually was into that before I even met him. You see, I brought this back to myself, saying that's something very important for me, and I come with this natural interest. Then I asked him, how did he come to have interest in those books? And he just answered, oh, I had great mentors when I was 16. What does this answer tell me? Absolutely nothing. This is so vague as it could be. This does not meet my basic standard for communication. I value clarity. I don't need a novel on how this came to be, but a specific answer would have been better. I personally did not see this emotional intelligence or stability or conversation skills that I would have liked to see in this person, so I matched them. I just thought, I'm not enjoying this, I'm not going to stay in it. I didn't bother explaining, I didn't bother saying, how dare you talk to me like that, because it's not about me, it's about them and their communication style. What's about me is whether I like it or not. No, I don't. Then, okay, fair point, out of there, without wasting time. This is not disrespectful, this is keeping your boundaries, this is saving your time, you're also saving their time, because likely it won't work out. Now let's talk quickly about green flags. Green flag number 1, they respect your pace, they don't rush you, they don't get angry, they're not like, oh, you haven't responded for a day, why haven't you done that, before you even get to know each other. Green flag number 2, they're curious about you as a person, not in an interrogating way, but more like in a genuine, friendly, I'm trying to get to know you way. Green flag number 3, they have a balanced life. They have their hobbies, interests, and friends outside of you. So if you come into that life, you're going to be a nice bonus, a nice addition. You're not going to be the main pillar. Because if you're the main pillar or the center or the main focus, they put you on a pedestal, likely, and just as quickly as you get up, you can quickly go down. I want to talk about part 4, which are the questions that reveal character. Question number 1, who are 3 people you admire and why? What this reveals is actually their core values. What they like in other people is what they try to embody in themselves. This is way less intimidating than trying to ask, what are your values? What do you value? Because that's very confrontational in a way. Question number 2, what's something you've changed your mind about recently? And what does this question reveal? Intellectual flexibility and adaptability, growth mindset versus stuck mindset. This is also one of the strongest predictors of relationship success. Question 3, what would a perfect Sunday look like for you? This basically reveals lifestyle compatibility without explicitly asking for it. There's no right answer here, don't be too fixated on those, but try to really see whether you can click on some of the interests. I know what you might be thinking, this sounds great in theory, but how do I put this into practice when I've spent years ignoring red flags or getting lost in relationships? This is exactly why I work one-on-one with clients. I help them break free from these patterns. Through video coaching sessions, we identify your specific patterns in dating and relationships so we can create personalized strategies to break free from those and also to recognize whether you're compatible with someone or not before you get invested. I have spots available on my calendar where we could have a 30-minute discovery call and talk about your specific situation so I get to understand and I get to give you perspective and help you identify a new path that will work for you. Regardless if we decide to work together or not, you're going to leave this call with new insights and value. I have a link in the description and you can book a call from the website in my calendar. Now, I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What are some of the green flags that you've seen in dating and how has that been a good experience after? Similarly, what are some of the non-negotiable red flags that you have experienced and what has not following your intuition or not paying attention to those cost you? I want to know. I read each and every comment and respond to them. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. I share new strategies for healing from toxic relationships and building healthier ones each week. Before I go, here's that research-backed question I promised that predicts relationship satisfaction with 80% accuracy. How do you handle disagreements with people you care about? So, how someone manages conflict is the single strongest predominator of relationship longevity. more than passion, shared interests, or even communication in general. The goal isn't to find a perfect person. They don't exist. The goal is to find someone with the right attitude, someone who's genuinely curious about you, respects your boundaries, and is willing to grow alongside you. Thank you for spending this time with me today, and I'll see you in the next video.